Hey folks, I'm Sarah and I'm on the 2025 jury for what I think is the best book prize for literary fiction from small presses. It's called the Republic of Consciousness Prize, United States and Canada, and it is dedicated to literary fiction from small presses in North America. Over the next few months, I will be sharing every single book nominated for the prize, and while I can't share my personal opinions on each book just yet, I will share enough details so that you can get to know the book and the publisher. Every book gets its very own video, and you are not going to want to miss a single one. We're halfway through the list of nominees. Next up is book number 22. This is Smoke by Gabriela Alemán. It is translated by Dick Cluster and published by City Lights Books. This novel opens with a woman named Gabriela. Take note that the author and one of the main characters of the book share the same first name. I always think that's an interesting, thought-provoking decision. So a woman named Gabriela arrives at the doorstep of an old, kind of creepy, really big house in the capital city of Paraguay. It has been nearly 20 years since she last stepped foot in this house, which once was a place that afforded her refuge. She has arrived to collect an envelope that has been left for her by the recently deceased patriarch of the family that owns this house, a man by the name of Andre. And the envelope contains pages that tell the story of Andre's life, which also just so happen to pretty much tell the story of Paraguay in the 20th century. From there, the book alternates between Andre's story as told in these pages in the envelope, which is a story of survival and adventure and war and of the early seeds of dictatorship in Paraguay's history. And then that's alternating with scenes of Gabriela in the house, who is encountering her own memories and her own perils as well that kind of lurk in this house. It's almost like a dream, very dreamlike overview of the troubled and violent history of Paraguay at this time and of this one family's not so small role in that history. Gabriela Alemán is the author of 10 books, according to her bio, including the short story collection Family Album, which was also published by City Lights in 2022 and which was longlisted for the Republic of Consciousness Prize back then. She currently lives in Ecuador. She actually lived and studied in Paraguay, which was partially or mostly what inspired her to write this book. And she said in an interview that Paraguay is a country, as she said, you don't see talked much about, and she wanted to herself devote some attention to it. And then I believe in the interview said that she had been working on this novel for 12 years. City Lights is a storied San Francisco-based bookstore and publisher. In 1955, 2 years after opening his paperback bookshop, Lawrence Ferlinghetti launched City Lights Publishers with the Pocket Poets series. The first book published was a book of his own poems, but within a year, City Lights had published its most famous title, which was Allen Ginsberg's Howl and Other Poems. City Lights, as they say, has always been a champion of progressive thinking, fully committed to publishing works of both literary merit and social responsibility. With over 400 titles in print, we publish cutting-edge fiction, poetry, memoirs, literary translations, and books on vital social and political issues. So they published, as I mentioned, among their many amazing books, they published Alemán's story collection Family Album. And then also in 2023, the winner of the Republic of Consciousness Prize, United States and Canada, was Largemon, which was also published by City Lights. So I found in this interview that I've already referenced a few times with the author. It was in Spanish, so I ran it through Google Translate, which means it might not be perfectly translated. But in that interview, Alemán said that one of the recurring themes in her work is how the big history involves the small. And that got me thinking, obviously, about this book and the characters in this book, and about how the fact that there are people who never make it into the history books, but still very much play a role in shaping history, but because they're left out of the history books, they're almost invisible until someone decides to imagine them back into life through something like a novel. And you can even expand that from the character level to the topic of Paraguay itself, because the author herself mentioned that it's a country that people rarely talk about, at least on like the global media stage. But then you see how she presents the story of Paraguay in this novel, and you realize that Paraguay has very much played a role in global history, quite often as a pawn for larger global powers. But it has played a big role, an important role that is perhaps ignored in history. And so this book is a way of bringing that history back to life and bringing what has been like a forced invisibility into focus. So I want to know, do you have examples of other books that do something similar? Books that take everyday people and overlooked places and takes them from invisibility and imagines them back into life and imagines them back into center stage. I would love to hear your examples, and here is mine. And that's just one of many incredible books nominated by one of many incredible publishers. The long list of 10 books is usually announced in mid-January-ish, but I guarantee you there are going to be more than 10 amazing books from these nominees. So if you love offbeat, under-the-radar literary fiction, you are going to want to follow along. Click above or below for the next nominated book. If I've filmed it, it'll be available there. If not, stay tuned for just a little while longer. And in the meantime, you can click the playlist below that will contain all of the nominated books that I've shared so far. Again, my name is Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.